Hi, good afternoon. This is Docgettochild. I got my art features out here today, and I also got another picture behind me here. I'm going to start with my art over here, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. This is a painting that I was working on, and this painting here, it's a city sitting in the background. It's a seascape, and I got a city in the background. I got two nuclear power plants sitting off back in here, and I got a predator fish running, a couple other fish, and of course the trees in it. And it's mostly just for scenery, but the depiction of it is, you know, we got these nuclear problems, and we got this populated city here, and we got just a tranquil view of someone is standing back here looking. And I got the sign is John Robinson, 2011, 2008, cancer cure. Okay, I'm going to talk about my artwork and a little bit about my life, just a little. Okay, but as I get set up, just keep enjoying the view on the painting there. And it took me a little bit of a time to do that painting. What I'm going to start with here is, you know, our lives is based upon, it's like an art. It's like living it each and every day. And we put so much dedication into it, and I'm not the very best out there. I'm not going to claim to be, but by me having esophageal cancer and my life expectancy is like 5 years, and I'm like almost 3 years in, and I'm feeling a little bit up today. I don't have a stomach, no pancreas, and my sugar levels have dropped, so I'm feeling kind of on the downside, but I keep myself picked up, and through my artwork do I find my escape and get my mind completely off of it. Other than that, you know, I reminisce on what my old past life were, this kind of thing, which is not a good thing, okay? But it's still okay, because through my art I can escape. And I dedicated so much of this time to working with others, and with this illness we find ourselves doing those types of things, okay? And these are the type of things that we do. I want to look back in my life a little, okay? I have here this is where I was the lead plaintiff in a civil litigation that lasted 12 years. The ordeal started in 1978 and it ended in 1994. I actually filed a civil charge, a civil suit against a company by the name of Calkins Indian Town Citrus Company, and the case was John H. Robinson versus the Calkins Indian Town Citrus Company. And I laminated this clip here, and this is called the bitter harvest. And what I went through, this is the first form of cancer in my life, and believe it or not, by my disease being malignant and terminal, this type cancer is worse than what I have, and I'm knowing that I'm 3 years in. What I've done, I laminated these. Leave it right there, son. I laminated those, and I have various others, okay? You see it there? And these are different clippings of different times, and over the 12-year duration, I've laminated these to keep it historically for my family. This is my attorney, Mr. Jeff Peterson, and I. And the attorneys that I had were Mr. John Scorola, known as Jack Scorola, Danny and Skersey, Bernhard and Chipley out of West Palm Beach, and Mr. Moses Baker. Mr. Moses Baker is now serving as a federal judge in the 5th District down in the Palm Beach County area, and he's a federal judge now. And he was my attorney for 12 years, and they are my attorneys to this very day. They are one of the most powerful law firms in the country. They are the underwriters for 180 something major law firms. And this is another piece where I was in the Palm Beach Post, and these are different clips of different times and different eras of where we stood. There was a class action suit. During the trial, Manuel Noriega was underneath my feet, and my judge was the same judge, the Honorable Judge Hubler. Do you have it on this? When it's not on these, put it on that. Judge Hubler. And this here is another article of where I built a scale model. Can you see that? I built a scale model here, and I got a portrait of it over here. And this, I knew this to win the case. I represented 850 blacks and whites that are associated with blacks, and by it being such a numerous, so many people, they figured it'd bog the courts down. So they decided to try my case on an individual basis, and my trial was tried by itself as a remedy to form the remedy and formulation to try all the other 850 people cases. So my trial was tried individually, and it was John H. Robinson versus Calkins, and it lasted 8 solid weeks. It was covered by CNN. I met with people from Geraldo Rivera place. I was solicited by the Congress. I was solicited to be amongst those to speak to the Congress to make the 1991 Civil Rights Bill retroactive before it got approved. Okay. But anyway, this is a plaque from attorneys from Judge Hoobler's courtroom here, and this plaque shows what this courtroom is, the largest courtroom in Miami. This is the same courtroom Manuel Noriega was in the basement doing my trial. I did make history. I'm in the Library of Congress, and I was studied by Penn State. I said that to say this was my life. I fought the first form of discrimination in my life, and that was my first cancer. That was the first cancer. Now I want to turn to this here. Can you see this pretty good? Now this is a scale model, okay, of a feed mill, which was part of a concentrated orange juice processing plant. And this was a waste recovery system, and we processed the waste into a byproduct, which was the orange peel, and then used it what they call citrus pulp. So this was a pulp mill. Vincent unit, built by Vincent, designed by Vincent, built by out of a company out of Clearwater that was called Gulf Machinery at the time, which is no longer out there. The owner of it was Mr. Charlie Walker, and I knew Mr. Walker, not say quite well, but I did know Mr. Walker, and I was commended by Mr. Walker as being the only one in the industry that made that mill put out to the potential that it was designed for. I'm very familiar with these mills, with the concept of the mills. I understand the concept of Peckham. There's very few in the industry that know it the way that I know it, and a couple of others. They are trying to revolutionize the industry, but I have a key that would revolutionize the industry, but no one wants to talk to me because I filed this litigation against Mr. George P. Calkins, Henry Ford's son-in-law, Miss Eleanor Ford's husband. And therefore it was high profile. So like I said, I'm in the Library of Congress. I was studied by Penn State. The Congress used my case as far as the people without an attorney, as for discovery. So the discrimination here in this city, in Lowndes County, I found to be kind of like under the rug, and it's not quite as bad as it once were, but it's bad. We have problems here. But back to this model. This is a scale model of a pulp mill. I designed it to win the case. This is the waste heat evaporator here. It has preheaters on the side, and we use this to making molasses. And the distillery companies make it to make rum. And we got an oil that comes through this one here called the limonene, and that's the stuff that comes when you squeeze the orange peel, and that little mist that comes out of it when you squeeze it, it burns your eye. It's called the limonene oil, and it's worth some money. And it burns like gas, not quite as bad as gasoline, but a little bit higher octane than diesel. Okay, and they're gonna use it for gasohol. So anyway, this is the waste heat recovery system. It had reactive conveyors where they used the process of lime. We had Zenith presses, which was vertical presses. They got different presses now. I had a little input with the design with Mr. Tuthill, and he had Mr. Vincent Company to build one, and I believe from that point it did get started. Which means I had a contributing factor with that. They're being denial of that, but the idea started way beyond their shop, which started in this mill here. I know things about this pulp mill that very few know and very few understand. I was trained by Honeywell to program the sensitivity controls with the pneumatic relays and all of this, and to understand it. And it's against the law to touch these instruments, but I was trained by Honeywell to calibrate the big furnace. So I know how to control it, and I know what it takes to control it, and I know and understand the total concept of pecking. And if I can, my number is 229-269-6262. If anyone ever watched this that want to understand how to make the pecking process work theoretically, that I'm able to do. Well, so much for that. But inside this plant here is where the cancer began with me in the beginning, as for the discrimination, and it's this malignant terminal cancer that I walk around with that's lethal in my life is basically, that's gonna be the end of my life. Is no comparison to the cancer of discrimination. The cancer of discrimination eats at the fabrics of our society. We don't have but maybe about 15 minutes, and I think I'm down to a couple of minutes now. And I'm down to how much time do I have? Okay, so now I'm talking to my young grandson. He's operating my little camera there, and I can't make these no more than about 10 or 15 minutes. But I don't want to say things that'll bore you. But the point I'm getting at is I'm an artist, and I'm escaping through my art, and I'm trying to escape this. But the discrimination of our society is inescapable, and I'm working with the city here in Valdosta, Georgia. I'm working with the county, trying to, and we got a system that's been in place here for 151 years, and we do have some good people that's part of that system, and we do have the system itself got to be redone, and we are sitting down with city managers, and I do believe that we are going to make some progress. We are trying to create some formulation of a model that can be echoed across this country, and hope that the art of our work can be reflected through our efforts to try to combat the discrimination that's interwoven into our fabrics as I lay the paints upon this canvas here, okay? And, you know, we have the nuclear deal in the background, which we know how it's contaminating our seas today. And we know these fish won't have the life that they have by the contamination. So I'm going to end it on this. Let us not contaminate our seas of humanity by continuously promoting and going along with the bigotry that enhances discrimination. We have the right to believe anything we want to believe by the constitutions of the United States of America. But when those rights that is granted unto us as parts of freedom infringe upon the rights of others and become offensive and law-breaking, therefore we must draw the line in the sand and say no longer, no longer. On that note, I end this. This is Docgettochild. Till the next time.